Nobody anticipated this. Fans can't stop talking about Angel Reese, the queen of confidence, the face of modern women's basketball, and the person who stood strong in every arena. She is currently in the heart of an emotional maelstrom. Because something happened that caught everyone in the basketball world, not just Angel, off guard, just as the NBA free agency frenzy began. Everyone was taken aback when elite free agents, whose names fans had assumed would join Reese for a dominant run, decided to go to Indiana. Not for the way of life, not for the publicity, but to perform with one person, Caitlin Clark, as well as when the announcements are made. Angel Reese, who is typically portrayed as having ferocious energy and unwavering confidence, was obviously disturbed as the cameras captured. Minutes after the last step was verified, she reportedly broke down in a private time, according to insiders. And right now, fans are conflicted. Was this merely a blow to competition, or the beginning of a more profound split between two rising stars? Social media took off. Trending hashtags were hashtag Team Angel and hashtag Clark Effect. According to experts, this change may redefine league allegiance. Some sources assert that Angel feels deceived by the story that is developing around her, as well as by the characters she trusted. Was this anything that was personal, or only for work? More importantly, is Angel capable of recovering? Hold on tight, because this isn't just about game scores or statistics. It's about power, trust. And what happens when the focus abruptly changes? The news was devastating. The internet froze. When it was revealed that 3 of the NBA's most anticipated free agents had all selected IndianaFever, and more precisely, to play alongside Caitlin Clark, and it has been said that Angel Reese sat in startled silence, looking at her phone in a secluded corner of her team facility. She had anticipated seeing one of them, maybe 2 if circumstances were right. But all 3. It was like being abandoned. Angel had been riding a wave of energy for months. She had been boisterous, proud, and unrepentant throughout her first season with Chicago Sky. Her social media following was booming. Her fan base was expanding quickly, and every post-game interview became a viral video. She was evolving into a cultural figure, not just a player, the type that demanded respect instead of asking for it. But then the story began to change. More and more attention began to focus on Indiana as Caitlin Clark continued to make headlines, shattering records, establishing viewership highs, and selling out venues. And elite players started subtly, behind the scenes, asking for meetings and deals. Not with Angel, not with Chicago, but with the Fever, as everyone seemed to want a piece of Clark's expanding business. And Angel, she was allowed to observe it, as if she were unfamiliar with her own sport. According to a source, Angel allegedly told a close friend at a quiet time, "I thought we were building something real. I believed that this was my time." Her feelings weren't really motivated by envy, at least not entirely. According to sources, it was more about feeling undervalued and ignored, as though she had given her everything to a vision that nobody else desired to witness. She had exuded confidence, pride, and loudness. And right now, all of that enthusiasm was now being dismissed as noise. While Clark's subdued authority was being hailed as a sign of leadership, it was impossible to ignore the analogies. Every sports analyst has a viewpoint, and admirers, they were divided. Angel was praised on one side as the embodiment of unafraid sincerity. The other asserted that Clark was the league's future because he was media perfect, clean, and sharp. The pictures followed. The new Fever teammates shared pictures of themselves together during practice, grinning broadly next to Clark one by one. Timelines were overrun with captions like "New Era" and "Unstoppable Season Loading." Angel didn't make any posts. Not a narrative, not a tweet, not even a like. That quiet was deafening. According to others close to her, Angel sobbed that evening. Not in front of teammates, not captured on film, but in private by myself. An intimate moment of sadness in a field that seldom allows for vulnerability. According to one team source, She didn't expect everyone to leave. However, she wasn't expecting them to go there. Not in this manner. Not in tandem. The fact that one of those free agents was someone Angel had allegedly been in touch with on a regular basis. Even collaborating behind the scenes on a sneaker project only made matters worse. Now, without notice, the same player has turned around and signed with the Fever. The insider went on to say that one cut deep. Basketball wasn't the only activity. It seemed intimate. Debates erupted on social media as followers analyzed each movement. Some claimed that this was karma, a message to maintain your humility. Others contended that a mechanism intended to elevate a particular type of player was pushing Angel to the sidelines. The remarks were harsh. Angel brought this to herself, according to some, while others said they're afraid of her shine. But the quiet of the Angel, that was more powerful than any tweet could possibly be. She didn't have to return the clap, not quite yet, because a new type of storm was building behind the scenes. Rumors began to circulate that Angel had been promised partnerships, media attention, and team-building activities, all of which were now being subtly transferred to the Clark-led Fever. Squad Twitter went into a frenzy after a marketing representative even shared a message, purportedly demonstrating a brand changing its emphasis from Reese's authenticity to Clark's clean legacy. You guys want to stop talking about Black brilliance now? One admirer posted a tweet. Angel is punished for speaking the truth. I understand Angel remains silent. However, those surrounding her began to speak up. The assistant coach for Chicago said every empire rises in a mysterious Instagram post. Another colleague posted a TikTok with the description, "Some bonds never break," that had old footage of her and Angel smiling during preseason. Just remember how others didn't exist. It was disorganized, sentimental, and unavoidable. The podcast followed. Fans were stunned by a narrative told by a former NBA veteran who had played in both the old and current league periods. She stated that several agents talked about strategically aligning with Clark for the good of the league over a dinner meeting months ago. When asked if Angel's name was mentioned, she stopped. She said that they didn't see her as marketable long-term. They did not see her as a foundation, but as a spark. The internet was disrupted by the line. Was this only a well-thought-out commercial decision, or was there more involved? There was more to the story. According to reports, Angel's camp contacted a number of clubs to look at potential new synergy opportunities, such as brand activations or crossover events, rather than a trade. 3 teams failed to reply. We're focused on building around Clark this year. One team reportedly stated. The pattern then became painfully obvious. Angel was losing more than simply players. She was losing the momentum that she had put so much effort into creating. Fans were mistaken, though. They believed she was going to fold, because Angel was planning a reaction that no one was prepared for. Just as silently as she had gone black, Angel's tears were short-lived. Something inside of her changed after the initial shock, the betrayal, and the ensuing stillness. According to insiders, Angel returned to the gym 48 hours after the final free agent signed with Indiana. Not with cameras, as opposed to a content team. It's just her, a party, and a revenge-themed music. According to one close acquaintance, she locked in. Like, locked in. Scary. But basketball was no longer the only topic of discussion. It had nothing to do with team rosters or stat sheets. It was a personal matter. Angel felt as though she had been kicked out of a tale that she had contributed to, and she wasn't going to take that lying down. Her management staff was already putting in extra hours behind the scenes. They started removing documents, including text messages, meeting minutes, even audio snippets from pitch calls, which demonstrated that some of the companies and athletes currently gathered around Clark had previously courted Angel with lofty claims. According to one tape, a brand executive states, "We've got culture in the bag if Reese leads this new class." Clark was now being announced as the brand's new face. The supporters were furious. The treachery felt deliberate rather than strategic. Supporters of Angel filled every business post with the hashtags #StandWithAngel and #ReeseEffect. Awesome. Even began searching through archival material to locate clips of Angel being sidelined during press appearances while Clark received all the attention. One fan said on Twitter they never wanted to share the stage. Angel was all they needed. To warm it up, Angel, though, she said nothing. Still managed until she didn't. Until she and single quotes T. Late one evening, a leaked video appeared on Reddit. It was a brief, grainy video from what appeared to be a private team meeting that wasn't intended for public consumption. Angel was heard on the video stating, "I gave this league a moment." They moved toward her. "I can now see it." That one statement went viral on all social media sites. The story abruptly changed. Real questions started to be asked. Angel, was he set up to fail? Was it more about politics, identity, or even image than talent? Think pieces were posted by influencers. Athletes expressed support on Twitter. And gradually, Angel's quiet turned into her strength. She didn't have to say anything. For her, the world was speaking. However, the pressure was increasing because IndianaFever was taking center stage while Angel was laboring quietly and deeply. Commercials, morning talk programs, and red carpets all featured Clark, and Angel's name became less visible in the media. Cycle with every new headline, till she ensured that it danned. Angel gave a sneak peek. She is shown going around an empty arena in a straightforward, melancholy black and white film. No music, only the reverberation of her sneakers hitting the ground. 4 words emerged when the screen became black. Observe what occurs next. Not a logo, not a brand tag. Only feelings. It was sufficient to cause a frenzy on the internet. What was she going to do? A documentary series? A campaign for a comeback? Not even her teammates knew. However, one of them wrote, "Finally," and a fire emoji in their remark beneath the post. Every significant sports blog republished it in a matter of hours. Trending hashtags were #Reese comeback and #AngelWatch. Some supporters conjectured that she intended to switch sides. Others said she was going to reveal the internal intrigues of the WNBA. Some even made jokes about her forming her own league, and the unfollow followed. One of the free agents who had joined Clark in Indiana was unfollowed by Angel. For those who have been following these plot lines, like a soap opera, that may not seem like much, but it was the moment that made everything clear. There was a broken item. Then suddenly additional rumors began to surface. In a private group conversation, a colleague who was close to Angel supposedly revealed that she was done trying to be liked. She had witnessed the manipulation and the game. And now she was concentrating on creating something more substantial that they couldn't take. However, the drama didn't end with her. Do you feel left behind now that so many are choosing to play with Clark? A reporter asked casually during one of the few post-game interviews she agreed to. The room became quiet. Everyone tensed up. Angel only grinned. She remarked, "Have you ever witnessed someone leave a party early, only to discover that the actual fun began after they left?" The audience started laughing nervously. Fans who watched from home, however, understood precisely what she meant. She wasn't abandoned, she was cleaning the space. However, when Angel began to regain her power, other aspects of the narrative began to emerge. In a podcast interview, a former assistant coach from her time in college claimed that Angel had always been too real for the system. He claimed that they like their stars polished and passive. Angel doesn't play quietly, which makes them uneasy. She performs with pride. Her fan base was ignited by the quotation. Old videos of Angel asserting her ground, speaking out when necessary, and displaying her pride and loudness were reposted by others. All of a sudden, her background was being cherished rather than used against her. However, the injuries were new, even in this comeback. because Clark's team started making covert movements just as Angel was taking back her tail. Clark and her new comrades were seen smiling, holding hands and bonding like best friends at summer camp in a promotional film that was released. It was obvious that this was a time of togetherness. It was chemistry, okay? And Angel was not one of them. Fans took note. Some even brought up the fact that only a few weeks prior, two of those teammates had publicly commended Angel. Now that a new queen was in power, everyone was smiling. The league didn't divide them. One tweet summed up well. Loyalty did. Angel noticed it. She didn't respond. But enough was expressed in her subsequent piece. A picture of her by herself, in full game mode, hands on her knees, gaze fixed on the camera, and perspiration streaming. Not a caption, just energy. She was prepared. But what are you prepared for? Fans were unaware at the time? However, part 3 would address that because everything would alter as a result of what Angel was about to accomplish. Angel wasn't only prepared to reply, she was going to completely alter the story. A mysterious countdown sprang up on her Instagram story the night after she shared the unprocessed captionless shot. No background. It's only a clock that is scheduled to run out in precisely 72 hours. Everyone knew it wouldn't be minor, but nobody realized what was about to happen. Fans lost sleep as websites conjectured about anything from a big endorsement revelation to a documentary series titled The Reese Effect. What is Angel planning? Even sports experts asked, pausing their usual coverage. Meanwhile, rumors coming from within her camp began to take shape. It turns out that since the draft, Angel had been secretly recording her voyage. A private camera team, no corporate filters, no mainstream media, just her truth. The triumphs, defeats, sobs, and treachery, everything. And right now, the moment has come to disclose it. She wasn't only dumping film, though she was making an intense movement. There was a trailer at the end of the countdown. A blank screen and quiet were followed by a single sentence. Hear the truth. You saw the highlights. The TV flashed images of Angel sobbing in the changing room, practicing by herself, and watching television coverage of Clark with an incomprehensible look. Then snippets of ignored texts, missed calls, and brand representatives. Meetings where her name was conspicuously absent. The last image was an Angel standing by himself on a basketball court at night, with just one flashlight shining on him. "I'm not their story," she said as she stared into the camera. "I am my." Fans erupted. Hashtag Reese Effect became viral on all platforms. It was reposted by celebs. Athletes referred to it as forceful. Even opposition players began to respond with phrases like "finally" and "respect." Although not everyone applauded, a big sports marketing firm issued a statement just hours after the dip. Although Angel was not named, it was obvious that she was shaded. A picture of Caitlin Clark grinning at a photo shoot was linked to the post, which said, "True stars don't need to defend their shine. Their game speaks." The message was unambiguous. They weren't content. And Angel. She answered, but she didn't say anything. She used just one clown emoji. When she republished the agency's post, the internet went down. This was no longer merely a contest. 'Twas war. And just when you thought it couldn't get much messier, it did. A well-known gossip blog was attacked by an anonymous leak. It was a low-quality, scratchy voice note that was obviously secretly captured. However, the voices were distinct. "Let her talk," one brand executive stated, joking about how Clark is easier to work with and Reese brings too much noise. Just by being angry, she is improving Clark's image. The reaction was immediate. Angel's followers quickly overtook the brand on social media. Demonstrations, boycotts. TikTok has irate duets criticizing the double standards of the business. And Angel, she shared a picture of herself sitting courtside for her upcoming game, looking stunning and confident. The caption reads, "Talk louder." That night's game was different. Angel arrived as if it were the 7th game of the championship series. Locked in, laser-focused, and playing with a wonderful kind of anger. A double-double was dropped by her. The audience went crazy, but the actual moment appeared in the interview after the game. Does this new energy have anything to do with recent headlines? A reporter inquired. Angel hesitated. Suddenly declared, "I came to a realization. They constructed a table and provided seats for everyone. I was the table, though. I'm now constructing a new one." The video went viral right away. It was dubbed the quote of the year by pundits. "She's not mad, she's awake," a legendary WNBA player tweeted. Significant difference, as well as the knock-on effect. Enormous, enormous. Angel's team was discreetly contacted by 2 companies that had previously turned their attention to Clark. People wanted to get back in all of a sudden. They witnessed her movement's message, the fervor of her fan following, and the strength of her voice and Angel. She took her time saying yes. No more partnerships, according to a person close to her. She is now constructing empires. However, every resurgence has a twist. Although the identity was unknown. Fans conjectured that another well-known player was thinking of quitting IndianaFever because they were allegedly dissatisfied with the way all the energy goes to Clark. Tweets began to appear. According to some, it was envy. Some said it was true. In any case, it suggested something more profound. Perhaps the locker room wasn't as flawless as it appeared. Clark's camp, however, remained silent. The trailer received no response. Nothing to say about the voice note that was leaked. More applause, more sparkle, more highlight reels, till a single little change. "How do you feel about the way things are playing out with Angel Reese?" was a straight question posed to Clark during a podcast interview. For a brief while, her smile vanished. She stated cautiously, "I believe we're all just attempting to figure out where we fit into this league. Some are more noisy than others. However, I respect her in the end. She competes with others." The brief, tense moment, supporters held on to it. Was she implying tolerance or respect? Because Angel shared a piece the next day that had a snippet of the interview zoomed in on Clark's face, and the words, drama, completely rekindled. However, the public wasn't as split as it had been this time. More people spoke up in favor of Angel. More female athletes told their tales. More reporters began posing the awkward queries regarding media narrative, prejudice, and partiality. Angel had changed the course of events. She wasn't only a character. The narrative was about her, and when it appeared that she had taken over everything, nobody anticipated the bombshell that was unleashed. Angel's college team's assistant coach, who had previously stood by her, shared a mysterious thread on Twitter. It gave the impression that there was more to this tale, that the betrayal of Angel wasn't solely external. Then he posted only one sentence after that. "Inquire about the call. It's the one she never received." Minutes later, rumors were flying, Everything we believed to be true suddenly fell apart. The narrative that started with a few missed calls and unnoticed headlines has grown into a major power shift that is changing our perception of Angel Reese as a force rather than just a player. What began as bench sobs has grown into a movement that is appending locker rooms, sponsors, and even the greatest names in sports, making them choose sides. Angel is now leading rather than merely responding. She is creating something more than rivalries and statistics. And she is transforming every door that was shut in her face into a stage. But despite all the chatter, all the stories, and all the power moves that are whispered behind the scenes, one question still stands. Who called, but it never arrived? When she most needed them, who held back? As fans, we are now forced to question if Angel Reese ever had the kind of support she truly deserved. Or was she always only a danger in the eyes of others? The next chapter will arrive soon. More leakage, further responses, and perhaps, at last, some atonement. However, We must hear from you in the meanwhile. Was Angel set up to fall, in your opinion? Did she truly fall behind when it counted most? Or was this merely a media gimmick gone too far? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. We will read them all. Additionally, if you were shaken by this story, please press the like button, subscribe for more crazy turns, and remember to enable alerts. Because if you believe that the drama is over, you have yet to see anything. There is more to this than just basketball. This is a private matter.